I am on page 81 of the exercise book. I started this one once and my iPad went haywire again, so I had to stop. So I've already worked number 9, but I'll work it again so that you can follow the explanation. Consider the following graph. What is the equation of this line in standard form? Well, looking at that graph, I want to get slope-intercept form, and then I'll convert that to standard. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And I can tell you b is, the y-intercept is, 0, 3. So baby b is positive 3. The x will stay in there, as will the y. Now we need to get the slope, and we can do that by using rise over run this time, because it's very clear that for every 3 I rise, I run, I run 2. So every 3 I rise, I run 2. And that will be your slope. It is a negative slope. So for every 3 you fall, you still run 2. But we need to make sure we get the negative sign in there. And that is the equation in slope-intercept form. Now I'm going to come down here and put the equation in standard form, because that's what it told me to do. So draw yourself a pattern. You want standard. Now remember, in standard, this must be a whole number. Okay, so we have y equals negative 3/2 x plus 3. And I can put in a 1 there if I need it to hold that spot. So big BY is 1y. You can even make it positive 1y. C, the constant, that positive 3 is fine. But we need to move the x term over. So I'm going to say negative 3/2 x. Sorry, positive 3/2 x. So this is going to come over here as positive 3/2 x, and I'll cancel right there. So I am left with a situation, because I have 3/2 x plus y, or 1y, equals positive 3. But we're violating a condition of standard. We cannot have a fraction or a decimal in standard form as the a. So we have to get rid of the fraction. I need to get rid of that 2 on the denominator. So I'm going to multiply, and let's stop for just a minute and talk about why it's multiply. The way it's written, it's 3 divided by 2. The opposite of divide 2 is multiply 2. You have to do it to both sides if you're going to use this method. You can't just do it to one. So 2 times 3 is 6, with a 2 on the bottom. 2 times 1 is 2, with a y. And 3 times 2 is 6. And you may be saying, well, Amanda, we still have a fraction. But this fraction is going to give us a whole number for that x term. And then we have standard form. So this answer should be over here. And sure enough, it is. Option C is what we want. Okay. Down here, number 10 says to consider the following graph, which represents the total cost in dollars, Y, of hiring a particular lawyer for X hours. So we need to know the unit rate. The question I'm being asked to solve is, what does this lawyer charge per hour? So we are looking at the number of dollars for 1 hour. Now, why can't I just go over to my graph and say over 1 up to the line, and that is my unit rate? Why will that not work on this graph? For a unit rate to work that way, you must pass the 0, 0 test, meaning there must be a point at 0, 0. And you notice that this line does not touch 0, 0. So I can't just read the graph, unfortunately. I'm going to have to calculate the slope, because I know that slope is the same thing as a unit rate. So we need some points, and I guess we just will have to pick some at random. I like points. Yes, let's do this one. Here's one that's on an intersection. If they're on an intersection, I don't have to estimate them. I can tell you that this is at 0, 100. So the lawyer must be charging a retainer or something. You have to pay the $100 before he even gets started on your case. Okay, another point that is at an intersection is right here at 400. So 4 hours cost me $400, but I need to know what that retainer is. Okay, so let's do slope. We have M equals, I'm going to let this be the set of 1s and this be the set of 2s. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1 is 300 over 4. Now we still don't have a unit rate, so let's go ahead and reduce that down to 1. 300 divided by 4 is going to be $75 an hour. So you can do it as a proportion. 300 times 1 is 300. And then 300 divided by 4 is 75. So the slope is 75. That's also the unit rate of $75 per hour. And that is option C. Number 11. Oh, this one I brought over to my notebook. On a math test, students were given the equation and we're asked to find 2 points on the line. Lou substituted 2 and 3 into the equation and solved to find the corresponding x values. Jenna substituted x equals 0 and found the corresponding y value, and then substituted y equals 0 and found the corresponding x value. Which is the best explanation of why Jenna's solution might be better? Okay, let's do it both ways and see what we come up with. So here is Lou's method. Lou said, okay, here's the equation. And I'm going to pick y is 2 and y is 3 and substitute those into this equation. So 7x minus 2 is negative 28. Add 2, cancel. So 7x equals 26, and 26 divided by 7 is, it's not going to be even, I can tell you that. Whoa, let's round it, 3.7. Then Lou did that again. And he said, okay, 7x minus 3 equals negative 28. Add 3, 7x equals negative 25. So x equals, I lost my negative sign every time. 25 divided by 7 is about 3.6, and that is negative. So that was Lou's choice to solve the problem. He said when y is 2, x is negative 3.7. And when y is 3, x is negative 3.6. So there were his points. Excuse me. This is x, and this is x. So let's see what Jenna did and which method we think is the best. So here was Jenna's approach. The equation, and Jenna substituted x equals 0. So Jenna said when x is 0, y is positive 28. So one of Jenna's points is 0, 28. And then she substituted y is 0. So she said 7x minus nothing is negative 28. 7x is negative 28. So 7 is divided out. X is negative 4. So when y is 0, x is negative 4. So Jenna's approach was to find the intercepts. That would have been my approach. Lou is not wrong. You can absolutely pick points and work it that way. But Jenna's approach was to go after those intercepts. And you've seen me do that. I want to know where the X's and Y's cross the axes. So let's look at the answer choices here. Lou chose values of Y that are too close together. That has nothing to do with it. You can choose consecutive values, that's fine. When finding 2 points, you should always choose an X value to find 1 point and a Y value to find the second point. Lou chose 2 Y's. That's okay. Has nothing to do with it. Substituting Y is 2 and Y is 3 will lead to non-integer values of X. That's another way of saying it will lead to decimals for X. Choosing X is 0 and Y is 0 will make the calculations easier. Okay, that one is true. Jenna found the intercepts which exist for every line. Not every line has points with X or with Y coordinates 2 and 3. Intercepts don't exist for every line. Let me show you an example of that because this is a point that you really do need to know. I'm drawing a coordinate plane. We're not even going to number it. I'm going to draw a blue line right here. That's a line. It has an x-intercept, but where does it touch the y-axis? It doesn't. There is no y-intercept. Here's another example. That's a line, or it will be when I draw it straight. Where does it touch the x-axis? It doesn't. So there is no x-intercept for this one. So to say that every line has intercepts is just not true. And E, because the right side of the equation is negative, you cannot substitute positive values for the variables. You can substitute anything you want to. So C is the answer that we want. This is a theory question, and these are always tough. That is really testing how deeply you understand the material. Okay, back to the homework. And we did number 11. The answer is C. Number 12. A line contains the points, which is an equation of this line in point-slope form. So this time I can't do slope-intercept because they tell me specifically that I need to use point-slope form. So that's going to be y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. But we do not know m. We need to find the slope. And to do that, you can use these 2 points. I would label them. I have to, or I get them all mixed up. You guys know me. So slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So slope is a negative 1 over 2. Slope is negative 1/2. And y minus something. Okay, so they have chosen or let's do some elimination here. Slope is negative 1/2. So let's eliminate A, B, D, okay. And then we're left with negative 1/2. It could be either C or E. But the Y is 2 or 3. Well, Y was a 2 when, excuse me, Y was not a 2. Y was a negative 2 when X was a negative 3. Be very careful here with those negative signs, because those two negatives become a positive 2. Negative 1/2 X plus 3. And that's the equation we're looking for. I like C for this one. That is not an easy question. You have to know point slope form to be able to do that. And then they substituted this point in for the point in the problem. Okay, this is the end of this page.